This video is going to be made of concerns right now. Um, this is something that's kind of been bothering me for a really long time, and now watching other videos about a ton of other people, it's kind of getting me angry about this topic. Now, I don't know, it's not really a sensitive topic, but it can be, but I really want to talk about this, and I texted my friend ahead of time, and I was just like, do you think I should do this? And she was just like, if you feel the need to, you should do it. So, what I really want to talk about in these case scenarios is how messed up our school systems are. I was just watching a live video about the story of Aubrey Wyatt, which I'm sure many people have heard about because it is a very widespread video. If you've not heard about it, Aubrey Wyatt was a 13-year-old girl who took her own life because she was being consistently bullied. And in the video that I was just watching, it was also mentioned that she was SA'd, and her mother was talking to the school board about this. And she told her daughter's principal and assistant principal, who were male, or her assistant principal was male, she told them specifically not to take her daughter aside and question her after she was SA'd, and yet the male assistant principal still did it, and that made Aubrey extremely uncomfortable, and nobody cared. The school systems didn't care about anything. Like, when her mother emailed the school and talked to the school, they didn't care that Aubrey was SA'd on school grounds, let alone. And I mean, along with all of that, throughout all the bullying, Aubrey had talked to the counselors, she talked to teachers, she talked to friends. Nobody did anything because the teachers didn't do anything, which means that nobody else could do anything, which ended up leading Aubrey to take her life. Now, an issue that used to be in my school was we have our grade school, middle school, and high school. We have those all in the same building. We have 3 different principals for all those. For us, pre-K through 4th grade, that's grade school. 5th grade through 8th is middle school, and then 9th and up is high school. For a very long time, we had a female middle school principal, and that was before I joined middle school. Then when I was in 5th grade, we got a new principal. He was male, and he didn't seem that bad at first, but once the school year started going, we all realized how creepy and how weird he was, especially around girls. When he was when he was in the lunchroom with us, we were all very nervous. I mean, as you can tell from a girl being a young girl and seeing this new guy in your school. And we all had our assigned tables, and a lot of us were sitting with our friends. And our principal used to go up behind girls, and he'd talk to them for a little while, and then he'd put his hand on their shoulders and start rubbing their backs, trying to feel their bra straps. That happened to me. That happened to about 3 other girls in my friend group, and that was just in 5th grade year. Going up to 6th grade year, it happened to many other girls, including girls grades above us and below us. And then in 7th grade year, I was sitting with my friend who also has a YouTube channel. Her channel name is Maddie on Top. Shout out to her. There was 4 of us at the table. It was me and Maddie, and then 2 of our friends who are a grade above us. Me and the 2 girls in the grade above us went up to go get lunch, and as Maddie was sitting there alone because she did not want to eat, our principal came up behind her and he grabbed onto her shoulders to feel her bra straps. That's when the whole thing became an issue, really, because we came back and she told us about that. She was just he came up to me and he started feeling for my bra straps, and we were all kind of just oh, it's okay, we'll tell somebody about it. And later on, when we did try to tell somebody about it, not much was done. It wasn't until it was brought to our parents that something finally started happening. Because I came home about a day or 2 later, and my mom sat me down, and she was just like, Aubrey, what is going on? What happened with your principal and all the girls? And I was just like, well, since 5th grade year. Mind you, I was in 7th grade last year, and it had just been brought up. And I was just like, since 5th grade year, our principal, he had been touching girls' shoulders trying to feel their bra straps. And my mom started telling all the other parents, all my friends' parents, all the other girls' parents, and like that's when it started being brought up. And then after, or actually before all of it had been brought up, my choir went on a trip to a water park in Wisconsin Dells, and it was for a choir festival. And we couldn't find a male chaperone, and we needed one because we had 2 boys in our choir. And that principal had to be our chaperone for men. And as we were all like trying to get one of our dads to join, by the time the trip came up, our principal had to be our chaperone. And then we had 2 vans, and obviously our choir teacher was driving one of them, and then our principal was driving the other. Nobody wanted to go in his van for obvious reasons, and I ended up getting stuck in his van. And my friend, who was a year older than me, she got stuck sitting up front by him in the passenger seat. And I wanted to get her attention at some point, and our principal, he like tapped her on the shoulder and he was like, "Your friend wants you." And she like, after a little bit, she started texting me. She was like, that made me extremely uncomfortable. And after that, when we got to our hotel and we went to go eat dinner, there was a handicapped kid in a wheelchair, and we were all in line trying to get up to the food, and our principal was just like, "Girls, go," because there were 2 younger girls, or not younger girls, but there were 2 of my grade girls in the front of the line, and they like looked back at him and they were just like, "We can't." So our principal like pushed past the entire line of people, and he went to try and go up front to go get food before us. He put his arm on one of the girls' shoulders and like pushed her out of the way so that he could go up and get food. That same girl, who is kind of a very good friend of mine, she went back and stood in front of him and was like, "Do not touch me." And our principal got mad at her for sticking up for herself, because he has always had beef against that girl, and I don't know why. I mean, she's not a terrible person, but I mean, she can be a troublemaker sometimes, but I mean, we all can be. But when she did that, like, I was standing in the back with my friend Maddie, and I was just like, "Did you see that?" And after that, like, our principal was like very angry, so for the rest of the time there, it was not very pleasant with him. But then all of it started back up at school, where he came back up behind girls and started touching their shoulders, feeling for their bra straps. And I talked to one of my younger friends who was in 5th grade, and she said that it was happening to girls in her grade too, at the same time that it was happening in my grade, which means that he'd been doing it for how long? And after it got brought up as an issue with our parents, mainly our mothers, but with our parents, the school year came to an end, and a few of us girls were getting brought in for like questioning, like about what was happening, and like I was like one of the first girls to go in, and of course I was scared, but I mean, like, I told her everything that I knew because I could not handle having that principal anymore. And at the end of the school year, guess what we all found out? We all found out that our principal like resigned from being principal after all this drama went on, so he would not have to deal with this drama again in the school year. But he is now going to be like one of our counselors. So now nobody's going to want to go to the counselors and talk about their issues, which is going to make it harder to be in school. It's going to be better, though, for most of us, because now we don't have him as a principal. We have a new male principal who was our 6th grade science teacher last year. And this man, he's a lot nicer, and he's not nearly as creepy. He was a referee that I knew from wrestling, and he was a very good man, and I hope that this next year goes a lot better. But the whole reason for this video is so people are aware of what is going on, because things that are going on in Mississippi, like what in Aubrey Wyatt's school, that is like close to one of the same things that's going on anywhere else, including my school. Now, I mean, they're different situations, but it's all the same, because school systems, nobody feels safe with like bullying and male figurines that like aren't like background checked like fully or whatever, because our high school principal, before he was a principal, he had like 2 DUIs and he'd been arrested before. He cannot continue to be our high school principal next year because he got a 3rd DUI and is going into jail. Imagine having that for a principal. My brother had to deal with that, both my brothers. And there was our 8th grade science teacher. He was a science teacher when my dad was in school. Like, when my dad was a freshman, that's when our science teacher started. My dad's 44 now. He's been in the same school, teaching the same science for how many years? Because my dad went through it, my oldest brother, my middle brother, and my younger brother all went through him, and now I'm going through him too. But when he was a teacher back in my dad's day, like, he took the girls who were prettier or had more, stuff, and he sat them in front so he could look at them specifically. And now I have a friend who's like kind of insecure about her body, but she is like a very pretty girl. And I'm worried for her sake because I don't know if she's going to be able to make it through his class. And based off of what all my brothers have said about this guy, he's not very nice. So, issues that are going on in the school system. Great. Thank you all for watching.